Hey everyone, welcome back. In this episode I'm going to be implementing the skips function. So I have my every nth. Let's do it. Let's get my base case out of the way. Okay. So much like every nth, skips would like to know exactly which index it is on currently so that it knows what number to pass to every nth. So I think I'm going to want to use a similar technique and just delegate this call to a helper function with an initial index, of course, of 1. Not index, an initial an initial n of 1. Okay, and I'm just going to pass the whole list, so I might as well just call it x's. Okay, so what is going to happen here? Well, I start with 1, and then I'm going to do some processing with that 1, get a list of A's, cons that onto a list which is generated from a recursive call to this function, except that instead of passing along n, I'm going to increment n. So when does this thing stop? Well, it doesn't make sense to... Here, let me go back to the example up here, or over here. It doesn't make sense to get every 5th element of a 4-element list, right? It goes as far as 4. Because every 5th element of a 4-element list would, of course, just be an empty list, and so would every 6th element and 7th element, and so on. So that is my base case. It is when the current n is greater than the length of the list. It's a little different than what you're probably used to, which is defining a base case to be when an argument is the empty list. But there is not probably going to be a case where I pattern match this x's as empty list and then in another clause use the, the typical x caused onto x's or whatever. So I'm going to use a guard here. When n is greater than the length of x's, empty list. Otherwise, here is where I want to call every nth with n on my original list and cons that onto, make a recursive call to this function, increment my n, and pass along the original list, of course. Let's try compiling that. It compiles. Alright, and it works. And just as a small optimization, instead of recomputing the length every time, since this thing is not really changing, seems like it's appropriate to put it in a parameter to the function so I can just pass it along. And it compiles. Reload the module, run it again, and it works. Alright, thanks so much for watching. I'll see you next time.